A lonely loser with a dead-end job dies of a heart attack, only to get reincarnated as the son of a noble with godlike powers. Ars was an average, ugly, miserable office drone in Japan. His life was nothing but work, sleep, repeat until one day, while heading home, he suddenly collapses from a heart attack and dies on the spot. The next moment, he opens his eyes and finds himself in a completely different world. A beautiful woman is leaning over him as he lies on a soft bed. At first, he assumes he's in a hospital, until he sees a flying dog casually wandering around the room while a maid congratulates the blonde lady. Ars glances at a nearby reflection and freezes. He's been reincarnated as a child. In an unfamiliar fantasy world, 3 years pass quietly. Ars learns to read and write, absorbing a ridiculous amount of knowledge for a kid. The world he's in is called the Summerfourth Kingdom, a nation that used to be part of 7 separate kingdoms until one powerful kingdom conquered the entire continent. Ars is born into the family of a noble lord who governs a small town called Lambert. He discovers that magic exists in this world, which makes him insanely excited, but because he's still young, he can't learn spells just yet. Life is luxurious. He lives in a mansion. Servants take care of everything, and the chef prepares delicious meals every day. But Ars also notices something strange. He has a mysterious ability no one else seems to have. To test it, he visits the training hall, where guards and aspiring soldiers practice daily. Everyone greets him warmly as he sits down. Soon his eye catches a man getting completely destroyed while trying to learn how to use a spear. Using his special ability, Ars reads the man's stats and sees that he's terrible with a spear and sword D rank in both. But surprisingly, the man has a B rank in archery. Ars runs up to him and asks if he's ever tried using a bow. The guy laughs it off, saying archery is for cowards and women. But since Ars is the future lord, he reluctantly obeys and picks up a bow. He fires. The arrow hits dead center on the first try. Everyone thinks it's a lucky shot until he keeps shooting and landing bullseye after bullseye. The man is shocked to realize he has a natural talent for archery. He thanks Ars while the others crowd around him, asking how he knew. Ars refuses to reveal his power and simply says, instinct. One downside, he can't see his own stats, which annoys him, but he lets it go and returns inside. Later at dinner, he sits across from his intimidating father and discreetly checks his father's stats. The man has a rank abilities across the board and is strong enough to defeat 10 B rank swordsmen at once. His father casually asks if Ars was the one who told the trainee to try archery. Ars admits he did. The lord nods approvingly and says it's a valuable skill for a future ruler to recognize talent. After dinner, Ars begins learning more about politics and quickly realizes how twisted the kingdom really is. The rulers of the Summerfourth Empire are corrupt to the core. Farmers and commoners are living in terrible conditions. Protests and revolts are breaking out everywhere, while politicians respond with police brutality and dirty tactics. Basically, it's just like America. Ars realizes that if things continue this way, a continent-wide civil war could erupt, and he might one day be forced to lead troops into battle. The thought terrifies him. He's not a warrior, and he doesn't know if he can protect his family or his people. The next morning, he sneaks out wearing a cloak and strolls through the village market. But despite his disguise, people instantly recognize him and treat him like a noble lady out shopping. Ars is annoyed and walks away. Using his magic eye, he tries scanning random villagers to look for extraordinary talent, but everyone turns out to be completely useless. Eventually, his eyes start watering from overuse, so he sits down to rest. Suddenly, he hears shouting. A door bursts open, and a racist woman throws a young man into the street, yelling that she refuses to hire someone like him. People around call him a Malcolm, speaking as if he's filthy and beneath them. Ars remembers reading about this race people from a faraway continent who were enslaved by the Summerfourth Kingdom. The young man sits on the ground, exhausted and hungry. Ars approaches him and offers him a piece of bread. The man is shocked. He introduces himself as Ray, while nearby villagers whisper in disgust. wondering why the future Lord is helping Amalcom. Ray is hesitant at first. Ray hesitates, but eventually takes the bread slowly at first, then devouring it like he hasn't eaten in days. While he eats, Ars activates his magic eye to check Ray's stats, and nearly falls over. This guy is stacked, multiple rank and S-rank skills on the same level as Lord Raven, Ars's overpowered father. Ars instantly realizes this man could become one of the strongest people in the entire kingdom. His eyes sparkle with excitement. Ray stares at him, creeped out, thanks him for the bread, and starts walking away. But Ars, the future lord, casually stalks him into an alleyway. Ray tells him to stop following him. That's when Ars reveals his identity. He is the son of Lord Leventan, offers Ray a job as his personal bodyguard. He even bribes him with the promise of delicious meals. Ray thinks for a moment, and agrees. They return to Ars's house and sit at the dining table. Dozens of delicious dishes are served in front of Ars, but when the maid walks up to Ray, she slams down an old plate with a few beans on it. She refuses to serve Amalcom the same food as her master. The butler even tells Ray to get out as soon as he's done eating. Ars is shocked by the racism, but unlike a white American girl who would just tweet about it, he actually does something. He drags his chair next to Ray and eats with him. The maid and butler protest, but Ars tells them to shut their mouths. Ray is his guest. Suddenly their attitude changes, and the maid starts serving Ray proper food. Ray finally relaxes and eats happily. Ray explains that he grew up in a mercenary group who took him in when he was a small child, but recently, his entire group was wiped out in a brutal battle, leaving him alone in a cold, unforgiving world. Feeling bad for him, Ars brings Ray to his father's chamber and asks permission to hire Ray as his bodyguard. Lord Raven takes one look at Ray and immediately denies it, declaring that Malcolms are worthless and untalented. But Ars pushes back confidently, saying his instincts tell him that Ray has God-given abilities unmatched by ordinary people. Raven pauses, then agrees to give Ray a chance, but only if he can pass a test. Ray must land a single hit on Raven in combat. If he fails, he must leave the village immediately. Ars panics. Raven is a monster, one of the strongest swordsmen on the entire continent. Even with wooden swords, this is practically suicide. But Raven ignores him and walks to the training grounds. Guards gather, mocking Ray with slurs and calling him the M-word. Raven explains the rule: one hit within the time limit and Ray is hired. The timer starts. Raven charges instantly with a devastating slash. Ray dodges, realizing that even with a wooden sword, that attack could have killed him. Raven attacks again. Ray blocks it, but he's shaken by Raven's speed and strength. The Lord keeps up a relentless assault. Ray blocks and parries desperately. Ars is terrified, but the guards watching are stunned. No one has ever managed to withstand even one attack from Lord Raven. Raven increases his speed, slamming Ray's shoulder and knocking him to the ground. Everyone assumes it's over, but Ray stands back up. His expression changes. He goes serious. Ray rushes forward. Raven moves to counter, but Ray slides under him, uses the sunlight to blind the Lord, and swings from behind. Raven barely manages to block it. Gasps fill the training ground. This is the first time anyone has ever come this close to landing an attack on Lord Raven. Ray prepares to strike again, until Raven raises his hand. Time's up. Ray freezes, but instead of dismissing him, Raven smiles and declares Ray the winner. No one has ever pushed him this far before. Ars is ecstatic, cheering wildly. Raven praises Ars for discovering yet another talented individual, saying his instincts truly are divine. The soldiers surround Ray, asking for training tips and begging to spar with him. Later that day, Ray is officially accepted into the household. He even wears a formal uniform, kneels before Ars, and pledges his loyalty. Months pass. Ray works at the estate, and while some servants were originally racist toward him, they slowly warm up. He trains the soldiers, improves their combat skills, and studies with Ars's tutor, boosting his intelligence to the point he becomes the smartest person in the entire household. Even the maids who once hated him eventually find themselves swooning over his polite manner and handsome face. Recently, Ars and Ray began studying together, learning about the continent's history and the political climate. They learn how the Summerforth Kingdom was once the strongest nation in the world. But according to Ray, things are getting worse. The old king has died. His son, the new king, is only 8 years old. Now, All power rests in the hands of the corrupt politicians surrounding the child, who are. The greedy politicians are trying to gain as much power as possible. Because of all this corruption, the government is unable to rule properly, which has caused several revolts to break out all over the country. Because of that, the lords and dukes of different regions have stopped listening to the kingdom entirely. They're now maintaining their own personal armies to deal with these conflicts. Ars realizes that their own county hasn't seen a single revolt yet, but the fact that his father trains every single day and keeps preparing to gather more soldiers means trouble might be coming soon. He decides they need to find more talented people like Ray who can help them if a war breaks out, even though he hopes it never happens. Ars asks Ray where he thinks the first conflict would erupt if war becomes inevitable. Without hesitation, Ray says it would start in the neighboring county. Their lord is extremely old and fragile, he could die any day now, and that would spark a war over succession. Ray explains that the lord has 2 sons. Technically, the older one should inherit the position, but everyone knows the younger brother is far more capable and would make a better leader. If the succession issue is settled before the lord dies, both brothers will end up fighting each other, forcing the entire kingdom to choose sides. Ars asks which side his father would support. Ray replies that Lord Raven would probably support the elder brother, because according to the laws, he is the rightful heir. Ars thinks about how his father is still strong enough to deal with these problems now, but he worries about what might happen if things go wrong and his father gets hurt. Ray advises him that they must start searching for talented individuals who can strengthen their position and keep their home safe. Ars agrees wholeheartedly. The two prepare to head into the nearby town to scout for talent. As they walk through the front yard, Raven stops them and tells them to be on the lookout for a powerful mage. A good wizard can turn the tide of even a losing battle. Ars knows that his father has no magical talent. He remembers the time Raven gave him a magical gem to awaken any hidden power, but Ars turned out to have 0 affinity for magic. His father never asked him to try again. They leave their small county and enter the nearby town, which is much larger and far wealthier than their own village. Ars tells Ray that he dreams of making his county just as prosperous someday. Ray just smiles. They begin scouting for talent among the locals, but Ars can't find anyone with even above average skills. Tired, he sits down for a break. Ray reassures him not to worry. This town has over 50,000 people, 10 times more than their village. They're bound to find someone eventually. As they walk through the busy streets, Ars suddenly notices a small, dingy alley filled with poor people sleeping on the ground. He's shocked. He didn't expect such poverty in a city filled with wealthy merchants. Ray gives him a life lesson. Wherever wealth gathers, extreme poverty will always exist. Ars silently rethinks his dream of recreating this city back home. Soon after, they enter the main market. Ars's eyes sparkle at the incredible variety of items being sold. Suddenly, he hears a merchant loudly claiming to sell dragon eggs imported from another continent. Ars is instantly sold on the idea of owning a pet dragon he could ride. He asks the seller for the price, and with a sly grin, the merchant says he'll sell these rare eggs for 1 silver each. Ars gets excited, saying he'll buy 3, and starts searching his bag for money. But Ray instantly pushes him back and presses a dagger to the merchant's throat. Ray accuses him of daring to sell counterfeit items to a noble, an offense punishable by death. The merchant panics and claims innocence, but Ray explains that legal imports from other continents have been banned for a year. That means the seller is either lying, or these goods were smuggled in illegally. On top of that, dragon eggs are extremely rare. How would a low-level scammer like you obtain so many? Ray growls. Ray prepares to eliminate the fraud, but Ars quickly stops him. Ray snaps back to his senses and immediately apologizes, accepting any punishment, but Ars tells him it's fine. Later, they sit down for lunch. Ars decides to get some dessert from a nearby stall, but suddenly a pickpocket bumps into him, steals his money pouch, and takes off running. Ray grabs Ars and they sprint after the thief, who slips in and out of the crowd with surprising speed. Ray manages to snag the thief's cloak, revealing a young blue-haired girl underneath. The girl runs into a narrow alley, but when Ray reaches it, he finds her being surrounded by a group of hoodlums. One of them punches her to the ground. Ars tries to stop them, but the leader gets angry and swings at him. Ray instantly grabs the man's arm and punches him in the stomach, knocking him out cold. The other 2 men rush forward, but Ray takes them down, just as quickly, leaving all three lying on the ground. Ray's brutal takedown forces the remaining thugs to run away. Ars immediately turns to the girl and uses his magic eye only to discover something unbelievable. This young thief possesses S-rank magic talent. The stats are insane. Ars can't believe what he's seeing. Without hesitation, he asks her to join him and become his vassal. Ray quickly reminds him that she's a thief, but Ars doesn't care. He promises her a comfortable life, good salary, good food, everything. But the girl looks down on him and coldly replies that she'd rather die than work for a spoiled noble brat like him. To her, all nobles are evil. They fill their coffers by squeezing the poor. She reveals that she herself was once captured and sold as a slave to a noble. She only escaped by running away. And that's why those men were trying to capture her again. Ars tries to reason with her, telling her that with her talent she would make an incredible mage. But she answers that she has never even used magic before. Ray realizes that convincing her is a lost cause and simply asks her to return the money pouch. She hands it back without arguing. Suddenly, a group of small kids rush into the alley and gather around her. Ars then realizes she's taking care of these orphans and feeding them with whatever she steals. Feeling bad, Ars gives her the pouch anyway, and he and Ray leave as the sun sets. Later that night, Ars sits on the balcony, wondering if he'll ever find such incredible talent again. Just then, cries echo from outside. A group of the same kids are screaming for help. Ars and Ray rush downstairs and ask what happened. The children sob as they explain that 3 men attacked them and took Char away. Meanwhile, Char is dragged to the other side of the city. The goons throw her on the ground before a slave trader. They begin beating her, but she endures everything silently without shedding a single tear. The slaver orders them to be careful with her face. A disgusting noble wants to buy her, and he wants her face kept pretty. One goon notices the pouch Ars gave her and snatches it. When he opens it and sees how much money is inside, his eyes widen. Char suddenly bursts up, snatches the pouch back, and attempts to run, but the men catch her and pin her to the ground. The slaver mocks her, telling her to accept her fate. Even if she runs away, she'll live a miserable life and die horribly. He raises his hand to break her spirit further. Bang. The door blasts open, sending the guard flying. Ray steps inside. He blocks the first punch effortlessly, takes down the next 2 goons in seconds, and hurls a knife straight at the guard near the slaver. The slaver panics and tells everyone to stop so they can talk. But Ars rushes in behind Ray and asks Char if she's okay. Char is stunned to see him here. The slaver examines Ars, his clothes, his posture, his tone, and immediately realizes this kid must be a noble. Trying to stay polite, the slaver asks what he can do for him. Ars firmly states that he wants the girl released right now. The slaver refuses, saying he's not doing anything illegal. It's perfectly legal to sell slaves in this county. Ars says he doesn't care about any of that. Char panics and tells him to run away if he wants to live. Ars looks at her again, checks her stats, and sees something heartbreaking. Her ambition value is 1, meaning she has completely given up on life. He starts talking, rambling, even about how every person deserves hope, deserves a future worth dreaming of. The slaver laughs out loud. To him, the only future a slave gets is serving their master quietly. Ars gets angry and shouts at him to stop laughing. He says adults are supposed to protect children, not destroy them. He declares that Char should decide her own future, not scum like him. Char is stunned. She feels something she hasn't felt in years, someone standing up for her. She remembers all the nights spent alone in freezing alleys, stealing food just to survive, watching other children live easier lives while she struggled to feed herself and the orphans, and for the first time in forever, tears flow down her cheeks. But the slaver gets annoyed. He says he was being respectful only because Ars is a noble, but now the kid is to woke and interfering with business. A group of muscular thugs gather around them. The slaver threatens to hurt both Ray and Ars. Ars looks at Ray. Ray simply nods and says everything is under control. One thug tells Ars to shut up because he hates yappy kids. Ray grabs that thug by the throat, lifts him into the air, and slams him onto the ground. He glares at everyone and declares, "You trash dared to insult Lord Ars. For that crime, your punishment is death." He pulls out his dagger. A hooligan breaks a bottle and orders everyone to surround Ray. Bad decision. Ray dodges every attack with elegance and precision. He slashes two men across the abdomen and throws his knife into another before they even realize what happened. One of the goons grabs Ray from behind and puts a knife to his neck, but Ray simply flips him over and slams him into the floor. The slaver panics and shouts for the mages. Two mages step forward, chanting basic fire spells, and launch them at Ray. Ray slices through their magic like nothing and beats the life out of both of them. The slaver is now terrified. He finally calls for his trump card. A massive man stomps down the stairs, chugging ale straight from the barrel. The giant asks what the ruckus is about. The slaver explains the situation, which makes the giant furious as he prepares to kick these pests out. Char warns Ars that this guy is serious trouble and they should run. But Ars checks his stats and calmly says it'll be an easy match. And just as expected, Ray dodges the giant's first attack by swinging from the chandelier, then drops down and kicks him square in the face. The giant roars in anger and charges, but Ray is far too skilled. With a clean uppercut to the chin, Ray knocks the fatty out cold. The slaver, now shaking, says what they're doing is illegal. Ars pulls out a pouch of coins and tells him heal by Char. The slaver claims she's already been sold to another noble. Ray steps in and tells him they're taking her anyway, so the slaver can either accept the money or stay penniless and deal with the other noble himself. The slaver folds instantly. He legally sells Char to Ars. By the time they leave the office, the sun is rising. Before they can head home, Char says she wants to show them something. She leads them up a hill. Ars barely manages to climb it, and at the top, he finds a breathtaking view of the entire town. She says this was her secret place whenever life felt unbearable, and she wanted them to see it as a thing. As Ars admires the scenery, Ray hands Char a magic locket to test her abilities. She warns them she's never used magic before and doubts she has any. But the moment she chants a spell, a massive surge of mana erupts from her body. A gigantic fireball forms and explodes in the sky, stunning everyone, including Ars and Ray. Afterward, Char returns to the orphan kids and promises to visit them soon. Then she begins her journey back to Ars's home. When they arrive, Ars's father first assumes Ars brought home a new dishwasher. Ars tells him she's an exceptional mage who will shine on the battlefield. Father rejects her instantly, claiming women belong in the kitchen, not war. So Char fires an overwhelmingly powerful fire blast into the sky. Raven is shocked and immediately folds like a deck of cards. Welcoming her into the Leuven family, they head inside, ready for the adventures ahead. The next day, which is 3 years later, much has changed. Since Char became Ars's vassal, his father has fought multiple battles, big and small, and won them all. Even though the continent is drowning in war, morale in their county is high thanks to Raven's tactical genius and Char's overwhelming power on the battlefield. No one believed a single mage could turn the tide of war, but Char proved them wrong. Because of her, Raven began recruiting even more mages under her guidance, strengthening their army. Ars now has 2 younger siblings, boy and girl twins. Even at a young age, Ars's magic eye shows they each possess multiple and S-rank abilities. Ars continues searching for more talent, but hasn't found any lately. That's when Ray tells him about the Hunter brothers rumored to be incredibly skilled. Ars gets excited and decides they must meet them immediately. Later, Ars and Ray ride into the forest to find the Hunter's hut. They're intercepted by Char, who's casually sitting on a tree branch eating a sandwich. Ars explains they heard about 2 hunters who recently moved into the woods and are going to check them out. Char says she's free today and will escort them to make sure Ars stays safe, and she definitely means it, because she squeezes him between 2 airbags to protect him in case they crash. Ray gets jealous and tells her maybe she should walk, since the horse is struggling with the extra weight. She fires back that she's been winning wars, so he should show her some respect. While they're bickering, bushes rustle and a wild boar charges out, startling the horse. but it's immediately shot in the head by an arrow. Two guys emerge from the dense thicket, celebrating that they landed the kill, until they suddenly see the guests rush over, worried they might have startled someone, and ask if Ars and his group are alright. They explain they didn't know anyone else was around. Ars tells them everything is fine and asks if they're the Hunter brothers who recently moved here. The brothers confirm they did, so Ars immediately checks their stats. Their numbers are solid, well above average hunters, but nothing crazy. The brothers then take them back to their home, where their father serves them a massive feast of freshly hunted meat. He apologizes, worried it may not be enough since he never expected the Lord's son to visit. Ars smiles warmly, assuring him it's more than enough. While Char can't help herself and starts devouring the meal. The father asks why Ars came. So Ars explains that he heard rumors of his sons being excellent hunters and wanted to see for himself. After checking their abilities, Ars tells him he wants the brothers to join the Leuven County Army, believing they'll be incredibly useful. The father is overwhelmed. He never imagined his sons could have the chance to become high-ranking soldiers. While Ars was asking about the youngest son, Char notices a small boy trying to quietly steal a piece of bread. The father scolds him and tells him to introduce himself properly. Ars wasn't paying attention at first, but decides to check the boy's stats. Anyway, what he sees next blows his mind. The kid has 100 plus int and an S rank. Tactician class. Ars nearly spits out his drink. This level of intellect is legendary. He doubts anyone in the entire kingdom could match this child's intelligence. The father apologizes again, saying Rose is clumsy and useless compared to his older brothers. But Ars's eyes are sparkling. He immediately declares he wants Rose to become his vassal. Everyone is shocked. The father, the brothers, even Rose. The father tries to stop him, insisting Rose will only be a burden. But Ars kneels down and excitedly asks Rose if he wants to work for him. The kid looks terrified, thinking they're going to force him into battles, and begins crying as he refuses. He says he'll just die easily. His father scolds him for speaking that way to a noble, but Rose runs away and hides in his room. Ars feels defeated. Another rejection, but the father explains that Rose has been shut away ever since his mother died. Unlike his brothers, he never practices archery or wood splitting, making him a terrible hunter. Ars tells him that physical strength isn't everything. Rose's intelligence alone can make him an exceptional tactician. Determined, Ars asks to speak to the boy again. He walks into Rose's room and finds him reading a book. The moment Rose sees him, he starts crying again. Ars gently reassures him that he won't hurt him and asks if he likes reading. Rose explains that his mother used to read to him, and since this is the only book left, he reads it whenever he misses her. Ars decides to sweeten the deal. He tells the boy he has a massive library full of every kind of book imaginable. Rose hesitates, but asks if he'd be allowed to take at least one book. Ars agrees. Later that day, they return to the mansion with the three brothers, but Rose immediately cries again when a friendly dog approaches him. Ars asks Char to give the older brothers a tour while he takes Rose to the library. The moment Rose enters, he freezes, completely mesmerized by the countless books. He instantly begins picking through them, while Ars says he needs to study and will check on him later. A few hours pass. Ars accidentally falls asleep while studying, but wakes up in a panic, afraid Rose may have run off. He rushes downstairs, but when he enters the library, he finds Rose fast asleep, surrounded by piles of books. Ray tells Ars that the boy is unbelievable. He learns new words instantly and has a surprisingly deep thought process. Ars checks his stats again and sees they've already increased significantly. A moment later, the older brothers arrive and start teasing Rose for being surrounded by books, saying he can't even read. Ars is confused and asks what they mean. They explain that apart from their mother, no one in their family knows how to read. they're hunters, and Rose only listened to his mother's stories. He was never actually taught to read. Rose finally wakes up, and Ars asks Rose how he even learned to read. Rose casually replies that he picked it up just by listening to his mother speak and matching her words with the shapes in the book. The brothers are shocked. Rose was only 2 years old back then, so how can he remember any of that? But Rose drops a bombshell. He remembers every single moment from the day he was born. The next day, Ars decides to boost Rose's confidence. He tells him that hunting isn't only about archery. He can also learn trap making. Rose admits he had thought about it before, but never had the confidence to try. Ars encourages him to give it a shot. A while later, the old man arrives in the jungle and freezes when he sees a massive trap sitting in the middle of the forest. The older brothers rush forward, proudly telling him that Rose built the whole thing by himself, and it has already captured several boars. Rose explains his strategy. He discovered that male boars get aggressive when they see the color yellow, so he painted the trap door yellow. The boars ram into it and fall straight inside. Then he hung a special herb around the boundary. The scent keeps females and baby boars away to prevent overhunting, since losing too many young ones could ruin the population. Rose excitedly looks to his father, hoping for praise, but gets nothing. The lack of reaction hits him hard. That night, he sits alone in his room, crying. He blames himself for his mother's death, since she fell ill right after giving birth to him. While crying, he overhears his father and brothers climbing onto the roof to drink. The brothers ask why he's always so strict with Rose. The father breaks down, admitting it's his fault. He was harsh on Rose because Rose struggled with hunting. But now he's acting cold for a different reason. He wants Rose to hate him, so the boy will willingly leave home and go work for Lord Ars, where his talents will be appreciated and he can live a better life. Hearing this, Rose bursts into tears again, but this time because he realizes his father actually loves him deeply. The next morning, Ars arrives to pick up the older brothers, assuming Rose won't want to come. But to everyone's surprise, Rose runs out with a huge bag on his back. He tells his father he could never hate him, and he promises to become a great man and come back so they can live together again. His father cries openly. The brothers kneel and take an oath of loyalty to young Lord Ars, officially becoming his vassals, ready for the adventures ahead. 3 more years pass. When Ars turns 9, his father falls ill. Ars begs him to let him lead their army instead, but his father refuses. A year earlier, the Duke of Misen died of old age and named his younger son as successor. But the older brother rejected the will, claiming it was manipulated. Since the older brother had recently achieved great military success, many nobles supported him, triggering a war of succession. Misen split into 2, and the neighboring Duchy of Saxe used the chaos as an opportunity to invade, making things even worse. Ars believes he must go to war, but his father tells him there is something even more important he must deal with. His fiancée is coming. Ars freezes. He had no idea he even had a fiancée. His father casually explains that the engagement was arranged before he was born and hands him a letter from her. Ars immediately runs to tell his friends. This is an emergency. In his past life, he didn't even have a girlfriend, so this is way outside his comfort zone. A maid rushes in, announcing that his fiancée has already arrived at the gate. Ars nervously heads out to greet her. The girl introduces herself as Leisha, and Ars is instantly stunned by how cute she is. Then he notices her stats. Diplomacy 100, ambition 80 Argentine pesos. Panics. He thinks she might be the type to charmingly smile her way into taking over his entire family. But the moment she smiles at him, he forgets all logical concerns and starts simping instead. He invites her in. Leisha and her butler walk through the estate, where servants are rushing around preparing her welcome. Her butler nearly makes a racist remark toward Ray, but Leisha stops him immediately. She knows exactly who Ray is and respects his achievements on the battlefield. She even orders her butler to apologize. The butler apologizes, and Ars tells him it's fine. The maids present Leisha with a bouquet of roses, which she happily accepts. Soon, she continues exploring the house. Leisha notices a bit of sauce on R's face and gently complimenting everything she sees. Gets flustered and quickly wipes it off, completely unable to tell what her true intentions are. Even he can hold small talk with her easily. She's super cute too. And if he hadn't seen her sky-high diplomacy and ambition stats earlier, he probably would have already fallen in love. Leisha mentions she saw the city of Lamberg on her way here and found it quite lively. Ars says he'd love to show her around, but the weather isn't great. Leisha casually says it'll clear up soon. Almost instantly, the rain stops and the clouds part. Sunshine blasts through. Ars freaks out, asking if she can control the weather or something. She denies it, claiming she simply noticed the clouds would pass quickly. Leisha then asks him to give her a tour now that the weather is clear, and Ars happily agrees. They head into the market. Everyone greets Ars and immediately asks about the girl with him. When he introduces her as his fiancée, the town ladies explode with excitement and start spreading the news everywhere. Soon, Ars notices two merchants arguing. One delivered the wrong type of magic stones to the other. As the heir of this territory, Ars feels obligated to step in, especially because he fears Leisha will consider him incompetent and overthrow his entire family. Suddenly, Char appears and casually offers to one-shot the merchants to silence them. Leisha instantly stops her. She recognizes Char as the legendary magician and claims to be a huge fan. She praises her, asks for a handshake, and Char is completely won over. Then Leisha turns to Ars and asks for permission to handle the situation, in exchange for a small favor. Before Ars can even decide, she's already stepping between the merchants. She tells them to stop fighting before they ruin their handsome faces. She introduces herself as Ars' fiancée, earning their congratulations. Then she smoothly solves the dispute. She tells the merchant who sells sound magic stones to sell them to her, since her territory doesn't have those. And she tells the other merchant to buy fire magic stones from her territory, since they have a volcano and can produce them cheaply. She calls it the perfect solution, and gives Ars all the credit. The merchants believe her instantly and thank Ars profusely. Ars uses this chance to advise them to always keep written documents of their deals. After everyone leaves, Ars thanks Leisha, and they resume their tour. As evening falls, they walk back home, and Leisha decides to cash in her favor. Ars braces himself, only for her to ask, "So, what kind of girls do you like?" Ars is stunned. He genuinely can't figure out her true intentions. She's far more intelligent than he is, but he decides to take the risk and answer honestly. He says he likes people who express their intentions truthfully. Leisha smiles and says she used that as a reference. That night, after a pleasant dinner, Ars heads to his room, but when he lifts his bedsheet, he nearly jumps. Leisha is hiding there. She asks him to be quiet. Ars insists she's in the wrong room, but Leisha says she came here on purpose to surprise him. She reminds him that he likes honest people, so she wants to talk honestly. Ars pours them tea to begin the conversation. Leisha suddenly asks what he thinks of her, causing Ars to spit out his drink. She explains she has a skill that lets her see people's emotions even when they're hiding them, and when she met Ars, the first emotion she sensed was doubt. She tried to act friendly to eliminate that doubt, but it only grew, especially after he asked her to be honest. She finally asks, "What exactly are you suspicious about?" Ars realizes this whole misunderstanding started because he looked at her status screen. So, he tells her the truth. He can see people's attributes, and when he saw her extremely high diplomacy and ambition, he wondered if her sweet behavior was all an act. Leisha understands now. She admits she does have high ambition. Ars nervously asks what kind of ambition. Blushing, Leisha says, "It's every woman's ambition to find an outstanding man who falls in love with her at first sight." Ars turns bright red. The air becomes awkward and tense. He thinks about how, as a noble's daughter, Leisha needs an exceptional husband to thrive. He wonders what she would think of someone like him, the heir of a small territory. She laughs and tells him she can read his thoughts just from his face. Lisha, speaking honestly for the first time, tells Ars that yes, this territory is small. If he had been a weak or unremarkable person, she would have done anything to escape the engagement. Ars is shocked, but then Lisha surprises him further. Now, she truly wants to marry him. She explains that their family is currently weak, but she sees immense talent in Ars, potential to make the territory powerful and prosperous. She noticed that he is genuinely loved by his people, and that everyone was delighted when they learned he had a fiancée. To Lisha, that was proof enough that Ars is an exceptional man, and she has fallen in love with him. Ars turns bright red upon hearing this. Lisha wishes him good night and returns to her room. Left alone, Ars freaks out, realizing that Lisha's ambition and boldness were undeniably cute. Outside his door, Lisha herself is flustered. Sneaking into a boy's room to confess her feelings was daring, but she also feels truly happy about it. The next day, Lisha returns to her own territory. Reflecting on the noble world, she thinks about how foul and deceitful it can be, how nobles use any means to undermine others and rise in power. Lisha had long been troubled by her ability to read people's emotions. She often found their feelings to be ugly or manipulative, and at first, she considered her skill a curse. But one day, she saw a woman happily married to a strong and prosperous man. That moment changed her. She realized that if she, too, married a man of remarkable power and reputation, she could escape this world full of negativity. From that point, she honed the art of reading emotions to strategically please people, all while searching for a strong family to marry into. At first, Lisha had no intention of marrying Ars. His family was weak, and her initial impression of him was unimpressive. No matter how much effort she made, Ars remained suspicious of her. Then, during their walk through the market, Ars did something that captured her heart. He apologized for the rough roads that might hurt her feet and even brought her ointment to ease the discomfort of her shoes. In that moment, Lisha realized that Ars was not only capable and strong, but also incredibly kind. Coupled with the respect he commanded from his people, she immediately saw him as her ideal man and fell in love with him. Now, as someone who would one day be closest to him, she vowed to destroy any obstacle that might threaten their future happiness. After their first meeting, Ars and Lisha began exchanging letters frequently. Ars felt anxious. After all, in his past life, he had never communicated like this with a girl, but he managed to flirt a little through their correspondence. When Lisha visited him again, Ars gifted her flower seeds, knowing she loved flowers. She thanked him, then reminded him that he had not yet responded to her confession. Flustered, Ars hesitated, but Lisha reassured him he could take his time. Meanwhile, she would continue working to make him fall for her. They continued talking through letters as life slowly returned to normal. The War of Succession came to a temporary halt, and Ars' father began to recover. Ars even felt ready to confess that he, too, had fallen in love with her. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for part 6. Don't forget to check out this brand new anime about a lonely orphan who marries his childhood crush and starts training to become a spy.